We are going to talk about the Burgos Cathedral, one of the jewels of Gothic in Spain.
Location. It is located in Plaza of Santa Maria in Burgos, Spain, in the north of the Iberian Peninsula. Burgos is the second most populated city of the whole Castilla and Leon, with almost 180,000 citizens. Related with the physical context, it is located in a low mountain area, in the confluence areas of Arlanzón River and its several tributaries. The city is practically flat in most popular areas, which extend mainly in the plain formed by Arlanzón and Vena rivers.
During the 12th century, the Kingdom of Castilla was thriving. The bourgeoisie emerged, universities were being built, and religious orders were flourishing. Some of them were monastic, like the Cistercian, and the mendicants, like Franciscans and Dominicans. In this cultural climax, the Burgos Cathedral was built. It was built in the reign of King Fernando III of Castilla, under the supervision of Bishop Don Luis de Acuña y Osorio, in 1221, by the Master Enrique, who came all the way from France. The original construction featured a primitive transept with a normal vault with three surrounds, as the major nave. It did not have a cupola or dome until the second half of the 15th century, when major additions were made, such as the spires of the main facade, the constable's chapel, and the transept dome. It is believed, through a file found in the chapel of Visitación, that Juan de Colonia was the master of the towers and the dome of this church, though it is unknown if he supervised the rest of the construction.
Configuration. The space is configured in a linear space. The orientation starts from the west and finishes in the east. The plan of the cathedral is based on a lateral cross, with the proportions of 84 by 59 meters. The building was built in the first stage of the 13th century. It has three naves with six sections and a very silent transept in a plan, a presbytery with three more sections and a polygonal apse, surrounded by an ambulatory that opens into a semi-diagonal chapels. The color of the building is white and yellowish, using the monastery structure. It was clustered form. This because there is a proximity to articulate and express volumes as individual identities. The western facade it was conceived according to a colonial French model. Moving on to Burgos Cathedral plan. The special relationship are interlocking spaces. This is because there are spaces with their own unique function. However, when you enter to the cathedral, the spaces are divided by columns or walls. The spatial organization has an actual condition, in this case the unified proportions of clustered organization, and helps to articulate the most important of a group of spaces within organization. The circulation is linear. It has a variation along the routes of other spaces are extracted. To get to a certain space inside the cathedral, you have to pass by spaces. This is due to the fact that a configuration of path is flexible. Moving on to the Burgos Cathedral facade. This ornamental gate was executed by an artist highly influenced by French sculpture. The tympanum is dominated by an image of Christ the Master, surrounded by evangelists represented by human figures by the tetramorph. At the top above the rose windows there is a set of figures of angels carrying censers and candles. Moving to the right, in the lower body of the Facade Santa Maria, it is formed by three pointed and flared arches that are sheltered in the royal gate. This portal was a work from the 13th century, and it, with its iconographic dedicating to the Virgin, was considered the most important sculptural manifestation of the Gothic style in Castilla. Moving to the vaults. It is an entire vaulted building with simple ribs. except from the section adjacent to the transept, which it has star-shaped ribs in a rectangular sections, with an spine rib with a longitudinal direction of the temple.
The entire complex is supported on the slope of the Citadel Hill and a series of underground chapels. On the east end, the structure is retained by the ambulatory, to which the large chapel of Constables of Castile is added. Structures that integrate sniffering buttresses and turrets at their corners perform a similar retaining function for the transepts as well. A freestanding octagonal tower marks the crossing, and it is supported by four heavy piers. It's interesting that the transept constitutes the limit between the two main construction phases of the apse and the nave, as stylistic differences can testify. The elevation of the nave follows the typical division into nave arcade, triforium, and clerestory. The dimensions of the elevation, however, depend significantly on the vaulting system, with quadripartite ribed cross vaults made out of good quality ashlar masonry. The vaults in the nave span over 5.3 by 10.4 meters compartment, and the ones located in the aisles span over 6.3 by 5.3 meters compartment. The transverse thrusts of the vaults as well are contained using the classic system of double flying buttresses upon large pier buttresses, which are covered by a sculpture functioning as the necessary pinnacle. The formal intent of the structure is celebrated, since the flying buttresses and other structural elements, rather than being concealed, play an important role in the aesthetics of the building. Longitudinally, the church is enclosed and fixed by a facade characterized by a rich decoration that incorporates deep buttresses and spires that crown two towers. All the stone units of the cathedral are made out of accurately dressed limestone, or caliza de Ontoria, and the joints are very thin and uniform.